Now we move on. On the sixth day of the U.S. government shutdown, President Donald Trump has said that federal worker layoffs are already happening. He has also blamed the Democrats for the shutdown. Let's listen into what President Donald Trump has said.
Right now, it's all because of the Democrats. The Democrats are causing the loss of a lot of jobs with their, it's a shutdown. It's their shutdown, not our shutdown. It's their shutdown.
The White House had earlier said that the Trump administration will start mass layoffs of federal workers if President Trump decides that the negotiations with the Democrats are not going anywhere. Meanwhile, the Senate is scheduled to reconvene to vote on a bill backed by the Democrats to continue appropriations for the government. Republicans have opposed that version of the appropriations bill, which would include an extension of health care provisions. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is also scheduled to host a press conference today amid the government shutdown. Now for this discussion, we go back to Mark Sutherland. He's a geopolitical commentator, joins us live from London. Thank you, Mark, for staying with us. Now, it seems like every time President Trump is asked about this situation, he just keeps pushing a previous administration under the bus or Democrats under the bus. So how do you think it's affecting his reputation as well? And how do you think people are seeing him just pushing blame to other party?
Well, when people are pushing blame to other parties, they genuinely feel that the other party is to blame. If my historical research is correct, then this is something like the 35th government lockdown shutdown in America since 1981. When we go back to the first Trump administration, Trump won the main government shutdown then that lasted for 34 days was about the funding of the wall down south. So Texas, Mexico, which is why that shut down, as he was looking at security. This potentially is looking at what, furloughing 750 to 800,000 government workers. Of course, the FBI, the CIA, air traffic control continue. There may be flight delays, but they continue. But other government departments that are reliant on the American taxpayer will, in fact, will halt and until this negotiation is sorted out in regard to the government spending, which Donald Trump wishes to rein in. This actually is about, as you said, Medicare, the Medicare aid. This is fundamentally for the Republicans. They're looking at this whole issue of Obamacare. We have to remember when Nancy Pelosi, when she was Speaker, turned around and said, well, let's just pass the bill and then look what's in the bill afterwards. And in many ways, you and I, we can't quite believe that people may not be reading such important legislation, which they then didn't. But this is always about a grab for power, and we see that fight because the Democrats believe in socialism. They believe in government spending. They believe that they want to look after people in that way. Where I would turn around and say it's controlling, and then going against what the fundamental values of America are, where people individualism can then make their own choices for their own lives instead of government actually doing that. And that then is, on one level, on an ethos, is what President Trump represents. Asuma.
Yes, indeed, it is very appalling to see U.S. change like this, and it's really appalling. And now, Mark, I would like to ask about the fact that President Trump hinted on laying off a lot of government employees. How do you think this this will have the effect on the expertise loss in the government because of this if U.S. lays off a lot of government employees?
That's a very interesting comment to make, because expertise, we always need that. But the issue has been fundamentally, I believe, for President Trump, for the administration, for other Republicans, for the base, is turning around and going, what are the fundamental values of America? And they then feel that some of these government employees are then not pro America. They're not looking at life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and in that traditional sense, and the American dream. They are then reliant on the government to pay their salary and pay for their lifestyle, instead of running their own business and getting things off the ground themselves. But that is also another issue, because it's the concern then over the American economy, which Donald Trump has been rather annoyed in regard to, when the employment figures are then released, and as he's looked back on the Biden administration and then realized that the employment figures that were released saying that the economy is returning and going gangbusters after COVID was profoundly questionable. I firmly believe it is about an ideology, and also within the Democrats as well, in regard to the shutdown. They have not been very happy where President Trump, his administration, is taking the deportation of illegal immigrants into America extremely seriously. And we are seeing that played out in the ICE agents just recently with what's happening in Chicago. So all of these issues are coming to the fore. Hence why it's about sending the National Guard into cities to then help the local police. The police authorities then deal with the crime, which they feel is out of control, and deliberate, to then overturn what, as I say, what the country actually believes in. This fundamentally, deep down, is an ideological fight. And may I say that ideological fight in other countries around the world is going on right now. Asuma.
Yes, yes, it is affecting other countries as well now. Now, looking at the press secretary, what do you think she will be? She will be giving updates. We can only speculate here, but what do you think she will be giving today in the press conference?
Well, you've said the word, which we can only speculate. Remember that dear Caroline Levitt represents the Trump administration, will be giving their viewpoint on what is going on. The reason why Donald Trump has been pushing to get businesses back to America, to get manufacturing back to America, is to then get those billions of dollars spent inside America to look at getting rid of the debt. They have a debt that's completely and utterly out of control, of 37 million, let alone all the other derivative debt. So it goes way beyond that to an escalating figure that we cannot even calculate. That is the concern. And that is the same with other countries, which is their debt, which is spiraling, which is out of control. I believe that maybe Caroline Levitt may make mention to that, but also she will be out there explaining why in their opinion, why the Democrats are responsible for this. Because it is about the spending. It is about resisting what the Trump administration is putting forward here, and maybe that is what Caroline Levitt will be addressing in the press conference. They are not slow to come out of the gate and say it how it is.
Yes,
Asuma.
indeed. With that, I would like to thank Mark Sutherland for joining us and sharing your insights throughout our news